Hello and welcome to Odds on Bundesliga, Matchday 23. The title race is over after the draw between Bayern Munich and Leverkusen. But I guess, Ronan, Bayern Munich fans are still holding their breath after the game in the Champions League. There is a big question mark of how this Bayern Munich perform in big games.
Yeah, and also a question mark on how Bayern Munich can perform without Harry Kane up front, because they look toothless when Harry Kane's not on the pitch, and that was large part the second half again in the Champions League against Celtic. And maybe it'll give Bayer Leverkusen some kind of hope that if Celtic can get a draw in Munich and Celtic can look like they're going to beat Bayern Munich, maybe Bayern can slip up a bit between here and the end of the season. So maybe there's a small chance. I'm not saying there's a chance, but there's a chance.
It's going to be very difficult. Very, very difficult. 8 points, but well, still many things to analyze. Of course, the Champions League fight, for instance, or even the relegation. It looks like all three teams want to go down, Bochum, Heidenheim, and Kiel. So, guys, let's analyze everything we have in this weekend. And, of course, press the like, subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. Well, let's start with the games we have on Friday. Freiburg, Werder Bremen is the first one. Freiburg fifth and fighting for the Champions League spots. Beat St Pauli away with an own goal. So 3 consecutives, 1-0 wins. Bremen, on the other hand, mid-table, lost the last 2 games, 1 win in the last 7. Ronan and Freiburg, therefore, are favorites, of course, 2.2, but I guess it's going to be a close game.
Yeah, that's usually what Freiburg have been playing at the moment. Obviously 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. And that's something we predicted last week on the show, and it came in at 860, the 1-0 win over St Pauli. So not too bad if someone actually listened to that tip and put a bit of money on it. They would have done pretty well. 𝐬𝐿_Messi in the comments is saying Freiburg to win, and you probably have to look at Freiburg win because that's what they're doing at the moment, winning 1-0. So another 1-0 here. Correct score 1-0 is 9. And they, if you want to have a small look at that, but obviously people are going for something a bit safer, something a bit more sensible. Perhaps Bremen, they haven't been scoring a lot of goals recently. They've only scored twice in the last 3 games. Average goals between these two teams is 1.3 for Freiburg, 1.6 for Werder Bremen. So this kind of looks like one of these Friday evening games that could be a disappointing Friday evening game. So total goals under 2.5. Could be a better option maybe than predicting exactly 1-0 in this one. That's 2.06 as you see on the screen. Both teams to score no is another option. It's 52% of the time and 56% of the time for these two teams. So kind of half and half. So there's a good chance that it could happen. But both teams to score yes has happened in the last 5 games for these two teams. Only 20% for Freiburg and only 40% for Bremen. So both teams to score no probably is the best option here, because if it is another 1-0, yeah, it's a great result for you.
Let's jump into the games we have on Saturday. Gladbach Augsburg is the first one. Gladbach here, of course, really favorite. They are also chasing European spots. Beat Union Berlin, so they are in great form. 10 out of the last 12 points, and even they got in these games Frankfurt or Stuttgart, for instance. Augsburg comfortable and getting a lot of draws against Leipzig, Mainz, goalless draws, usually under games for Augsburg.
Yeah, they usually are, but Gladbach maybe not so much. Both teams to score yes seems to be a bit more popular in their games, and Gladbach as well. They've suffered a big setback in that match. Morris Nicolas, their goalkeeper, he got carted off and now he's ruled out for the rest of the season. He had groin surgery earlier this week, so he won't play again this season. That will put back Jonas Omlin in goal. He was in goal for the first 3 or 4 games of the season, and then he was injured himself. Nicolas came in. Nicolas played spectacularly well at times. He was even tipped as maybe a future international goalkeeper. And yeah, going back to Omlin is not something necessarily they wanted to do, so that could give Augsburg a chance that they're not necessarily playing against Gladbach's first choice goalkeeper. And Augsburg in the last 2 games they played against Gladbach, they won both of them 2-1, and the one before that last season was a 4-4 draw. So these two teams tend to play out entertaining matches. So hopefully more of the same again here, please. So both teams to score yes has happened in 71% of Gladbach's games this season, and 5 of the 7 games they've played this year in 2025 have been both teams to score yes, and the only ones that weren't were 3-0 win over Bochum, which isn't really surprising, and 1-0 defeat to Bayern Munich in their first game of 2025. So they tend to play both teams to score games. So both teams to score yes, 167 looks pretty good. Unlike Konstantinos, as in the comments saying both teams to score no. So one of us has to be right. Yeah, and if someone is going to score, it looks very likely to be Tim Kleindienst, because he has now scored in 5 Bundesliga games in a row for Borussia Mönchengladbach, which is something that doesn't happen very often for Borussia Mönchengladbach, or any team really apart from Bayern Munich. So Tim Kleindienst is the man of the moment for Germany at the moment, and he is the man at the moment for Borussia Mönchengladbach since they signed him. So anytime goal scorer on him at 250 to make it 6 games in a row, it's pretty good considering he's on a great run at the moment.
Next game, Kiel, Leverkusen. Kiel now bottom of the table, 3 points away from the play-outs spots, so from Bochum. Kiel lost to Frankfurt after that draw that they got against Bochum. Is only 2 points in the last 5 games. And here, of course, we have to talk about Leverkusen. Probably they deserved more against Bayern Munich. Now they are 8 points away from them. Remember, also drew with Wolfsburg, and that's the problem of the season, Ronan. 8 draws. Last season, they won so many games in the very last minute that perhaps they didn't even deserve. And this season is kind of the opposite.
Yeah, they just have too many draws. If they had more wins, obviously, they'd be closer to. If that is third in some of those games, draws into wins, they would be closer to Bayern Munich in the table. And it was those late wins that won them the title last season. I remember so many kind of crucial late goals, and they're just not doing the same thing again. And their defense has been pretty good at times this season. Last week against Bayern Munich was the best we've seen it. They're only the second team in the last 20 years to restrict Bayern Munich to no shots on target in a Bundesliga game. So that never happens, and Bayer Leverkusen were able to do it. So they were unfortunate not to win, but Xabi Alonso's unbeaten run against Bayern remains alive. He's the first Bundesliga manager to start with 5 games unbeaten against Bayern Munich, 3 wins and 2 draws. So hopefully for Bayer Leverkusen, this will be an easier chance to score goals this weekend. They mightn't be coming up against a reborn or rejuvenated Manuel Neuer in goal against Holstein Kiel. And the last time they played was a high-scoring match. The only recent meeting was 2-2 in October. So Kiel, they tend to concede 2 or more goals in most matches, like back in October. But so far in 2025, they conceded 2 or more goals in every single game this year. So Leverkusen obviously didn't score last week, didn't score in the week before, but they had 3 goals in each of the 2 games before, so they will be hoping that Patrick Schick and Victor Boniface, whoever starts up front, can get that form back. And I suppose that's the pleasure of being Xabi Alonso at the moment. You have 2 strikers that are capable of scoring lots of goals for you, so if one is going through a bit of poor form, you can just put the other one in, and that's what we'll probably see this weekend. So I think there will be goals for Leverkusen. So Leverkusen over 2.5 goals looks pretty good at 195. Like I said, Holstein Kiel seems to be conceding a lot of goals at the moment. I also had a look at the 2-half kind of discrepancy. Leverkusen scoring more goals in the first half than the second half this season, and that's, like you were saying, they're not getting as many late wins as we were seeing before. They're scoring less than 1 goal in the second half, 0.86, but 1.36 in the first half. So Leverkusen to win the first half looks pretty good at 167. But if you double down on that, maybe away is probably better value, 180.
Well, Leverkusen to win and both teams to score for 𝐬𝐵 and also for Konstantinos and also for Stephen, 2-1 for Leverkusen. Next game is Mainz, St Pauli. Mainz beat Heidenheim and they are back to the European spots. Always remember, low-scoring games, and St Pauli is also a low-scoring team, so this could be an under easily. St Pauli lost to Freiburg and Leipzig without scoring in the last 2 games.
Yeah, St Pauli are a team that have the fewest goals, obviously, in the Bundesliga this season. They haven't been fantastic in front of goal, and they suffered another blow last week. Their new midfielder, James Sands, he's out for the rest of the season. He has an ankle, an MCL and a fibula injury. I think he has multiple injuries in his leg, so that doesn't look good for him for the rest of the season, or maybe even the rest of the year, we'll have to see what happens there. He started the last 4 games after signing in January, so that's a bit of a blow to maybe what they had planned for the rest of the season. And on the other hand, Jan Burkhardt has come back from Mainz, came back from injury. He was sorely missed for Mainz. He came back, got a goal and an assist. So he will be a big boost again for Mainz to have him. And he was one of the most informed players before his injury in the Bundesliga. So I like the look of him as an anytime scorer too. At 263, I think he could be a good option. He has 13 goals already this season, so no reason to think that he can't score more. There, Mainz won 3-0 when these sides played earlier this season, and they've kept clean sheets in their last 2 games, drawn 0-0 with Augsburg, beating Heidenheim away 2-0 last weekend. They've won 3 games to 0 already in 2025, so Mainz to win to 0 could be another option, because like you said, St Pauli don't score a lot of goals, so Mainz to win to 0 is 3, but like some of our commenters, I just like Mainz to win. I think the odds look pretty good just on a Mainz win in this match.
𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐴𝐵 Mainz double chance, which is pretty safe, and under 2.5 goals, since we don't expect many goals. Indeed. The next one is Wolfsburg, Bochum. Imagine, Ronan, if Bochum makes the miracle again. They are now in the play-out spots. This team is always surprising us. Beat Dortmund, and I just resigned about betting on Dortmund games. Is absolutely impossible. So Bochum, of course, the underdog still to visit Wolfsburg, only 2 points away from Europe, and they are not in a bad run at all. Beat Stuttgart 2-1. Before that, 3 consecutive draws. I guess we should back Wolfsburg if Bochum is not surprising us anymore.
Yeah, we don't know what to expect from this Bochum side at the moment. I nearly said this Borussia Dortmund side at the moment, but we don't know what to expect from them either. But yeah, this Bochum side are very kind of hit and miss, and this Wolfsburg side similarly unbeaten in 4 matches. 3 of those, like you said, were draws. Finally won last weekend, beating Stuttgart 2-1 away, which was a great result for Wolfsburg. But in that, Kilian Fischer got a yellow card, so he's played every single game for Wolfsburg this season, the right back, and he will be suspended for this one, so he will be a bit of a loss for them. Bochum, obviously, they were on a run of 4 games without a win, and then they bet Dortmund 2-0, which no one was really expected, but they've already taken points in 2025 from both Leipzig and Borussia Dortmund, so they are capable of getting a result against the good teams. Maybe not against the bad teams, but we have to consider whether Wolfsburg are a good team or not, whether Bochum will get a result here. The last 5 Wolfsburg games, they've only had 1 goal or 0 goals in the difference, so they tend to play very close games, and that kind of feeds into the chances of Bochum maybe getting something from this. Bochum double chance could be an option at 245 if you think they can pick up where they left off against Borussia Dortmund, but perhaps maybe slightly safer, because at least if they lose 1-0 you get your money back, is Bochum Asian handicap +1. That ties into Wolfsburg not being able to beat teams by large amounts in recent weeks.
All right, Wolfsburg or draw and 2.5. What, over or under, Clement? We don't know. No Bochum game bets, not for the next games. Bochum under 3.5 goals, total goals over 3 goals. So this is not an easy game probably to bet, although I expect, to be honest, Wolfsburg to win. Next one is Dortmund Union Berlin. Dortmund, as we know, involved in the Champions League. They should get through, but you never know with this Dortmund, of course, with 𝐻𝐿𝐴𝐵, 2 games, 2 defeats in the Bundesliga, including against Bochum, against Kiel before, or the records, Ronan, when was the last time they were in position 11 in February in the Bundesliga? It's impossible to trust them, and even less with these really low odds of 1.5.
Yeah, I think this Bochum or this Borussia, I'm mixing them up again, Bochum and Borussia Dortmund after last week. I think this Borussia Dortmund team, the Champions League table was kinder to them than the Bundesliga table, and we kind of saw that a bit last season. Obviously, they got to the Champions League final and then struggled in the Bundesliga. But yeah, this Borussia Dortmund team, who knows what to expect from them, because Niko Kovac, you were saying he has 2 defeats so far in the Bundesliga as Borussia Dortmund manager, but if you look at his record in Signal Iduna Park, the Westfalenstadion, he has never won there as manager. And now he's the Borussia Dortmund manager, and he still hasn't won there as manager. So we'll see, can he finally do it this weekend? Yeah, this ground has not been kind to him in the past. And Dortmund have lost 7 home games already in 2025. And remember when we were talking about 𝗀𝗏𝗄𝐿 Sahin and whether he was under pressure in the first half of the season. And the one thing that was kind of keeping him in a job, as well as maybe some decent results in Europe, was the fact that they were unbeaten at home. They were winning every game at home. They were top of the home table. And then you look at this half of the season, and they've lost 5 of 7 home games in 2025. So it's kind of crazy the way things have turned for Borussia Dortmund, and they don't really look like they are getting much better at the moment. Remy Bensebaini is back. He's back in training. He might play in the Champions League game on Wednesday night. Obviously, we're recording it before that match. He will be a good boost to have back because he can provide something different in attack. But Svensson actually has looked quite good since he come in, and he was inverting into midfield a bit, which 𝐿_𝐴𝐵 is trying something different at least with the tactics here, but it hasn't kind of worked out. So it hasn't worked out great so far. So Union Berlin are a difficult team to beat. They're always a difficult team to beat, and against Frankfurt and Bochum, Borussia Dortmund failed to score. They only scored 1 goal in the game against Stuttgart. Union Berlin, they've kept 2 clean sheets in the past 3 games. One of those was against Leipzig. The other one was against Hoffenheim. So they're keeping clean sheets against teams that are maybe nominally better than them. So yeah, this is not a match that I am predicting to be a super Saturday evening game. Only 42% of Union Berlin's games have had over 2.5 goals. So I don't expect the same to happen here. Dortmund under 2 goals could be a good option here at 187. But perhaps for the match itself, total goals under 3 is the way to go, because Union Berlin don't tend to score a lot of goals. Dortmund usually don't score 3 goals, not recently anyway. So just make sure that if you are betting the exact number, make sure that you get your money back if it is exactly 3. So under 3 goals, 193 is my tip.
Okay, Konstantinos Dortmund to win and over 3.5 goals, 𝐷𝗏𝗄𝐿 to score, Dortmund first half corners -1, and the comment which I agree the most, Clement, Dortmund can't be trusted. Let's keep this team aside. We can trust on Heidenheim to lose. Next game is RB Leipzig Heidenheim. They won a game, but it was in the conference against Copenhagen. In the Bundesliga, 5 consecutive defeats. Now, in direct relegation spots, this is a classic, like a humble team going into Europe, and then the following season going down to the 2nd division. And RB Leipzig in Champions League spots, despite not being in great form. Ronan, 4 draws and 1 win in the last 5 games.
Yeah, it's not a good run at Leipzig at the moment, and one of our commenters on YouTube kind of pointed out that I was kind of too biased towards Leipzig, and perhaps I have been thinking that they would get better results than they have been doing, that they maybe turn some of them draws into wins that they haven't really, and they haven't scored as many goals as perhaps they should be given the attacking talent they have, and we've seen that at times during the season too. And Heidenheim is a team that Leipzig should be relishing the fact that they get to play them because they're in such a bad run. Like you said, 5 defeats in a row, but they haven't scored in their last 2 Bundesliga games, and they've only 2 goals in those last 5 games that they've played, which, like you said, all losses. So Leipzig, they have a good result against. They have a good kind of history against Heidenheim since Heidenheim came up to the Bundesliga. They've won all 3 games, but all 3 games have been pretty close. They've all been only separated by 1 goal. And after the defeat last week, Heidenheim's head coach Frank Schmidt was kind of upset about things, and you don't blame him. They've already lost 16 times this season. They only lost 12 games last season, and he said after the match, we're not good enough to win games in the Bundesliga, and they really aren't at the moment. If you watch them, they're just not doing enough in attack or in defense, and it's not really working out very well for them. But Leipzig have been kind of much better at the back. They haven't been scoring enough goals up front, but they've been much better at the back recently, and they have 3 clean sheets in a row. 2 0-0 draws, obviously, but 3 clean sheets in a row is nothing to be sniffed at. So I think this could be another case where Leipzig could keep a clean sheet. That's 245. I think Leipzig, as I said, I pointed to the fact that they are struggling to score. It's not really happening for them a lot in front of goal this season, and the games against Heidenheim tend to be close games they play. So correct score 1-0 could be an option here, 9.50. It's rare to think that a team won't score lots of goals in Heidenheim. You wouldn't have thought that at the start of the season or even last season, because Heidenheim were so open. But yeah, maybe a bit safer than a Leipzig clean sheet is both teams to score 2.15. The odds are similar enough to maybe play the game at two halves and think either team could keep a clean sheet.
Yeah, 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐺 is also pointing out these both teams to score no, or Leipzig over 2.5 goals for 𝐷𝗲. This could be a 2-0 win, for instance, for Leipzig, a team that is not shining at the moment. And the best game we have in this weekend is Bayern Munich, Eintracht Frankfurt, with Bayern Munich suffering against Celtic. We didn't expect that. They had to wait until Davies took that ball lost in the box and drew the game in the very, very last minute against Celtic, a game that was going into extra time. It looks like Bayern is not delivering in the big games, as I said at the beginning. Also, Harry Kane couldn't finish the game, injured. So let's see if they are able to beat Frankfurt. We have great odds to back Frankfurt somehow. Remember that in the reverse fixture, we saw a 3-3 between these two teams. Of course, we don't have Marmoush now scoring for Man City, but still, this Frankfurt is doing great things. Ronan, 6 points away from the 5th spot right now.
Yeah, the odds of 10 actually look pretty appealing. After watching Bayern Munich in the Champions League against Celtic, you would think maybe 10 there's a chance there. But yeah, this match, I think you have to look away from Bayern Munich, backing Bayern Munich for the value, for any sort of value, because they're so favoured, and maybe they shouldn't necessarily be favoured as much as they are, because Frankfurt are a very good side at times. I know, like you said, they lost Omar Marmoush, but they still have great kind of attacking options. 𝗍𝐿𝐴 has been brilliant for large parts of the season. He's been linked with big moves in the summer, maybe even to Liverpool or Manchester United and Arsenal, things like that. Teams like that are getting linked with him at the moment. So yeah, Frankfurt seems to be a conveyor belt of attacking talent, and he can be one of them. And I think the head coach, 𝗏𝗏𝗏, is doing a great job. And he kind of said, he said last week that he was looking forward to this game, and he knows they need a top performance, but they showed that they have the weapons to hurt Bayern Munich, and I think they do. I think they do have enough weapons to get something against Bayern Munich. 𝗍𝐿𝐴, the midfielder, he has 4 Bundesliga goals. He's only 19. He's the second youngest Frankfurt player in their history or he's only 18, I should say. 18 and 97 days, I think. He's only the second youngest Frankfurt player in history to get 4 goals. So they have great attacking talent, great midfield talent. I think this is a very good Frankfurt side at the moment. I think they can cause Bayern Munich problems, and we saw that Celtic could cause Bayern Munich problems too. So there's no reason to think why Frankfurt can't be getting goals in this match. Like the tip is coming up on screen. Both teams to score yes, 166. The last 5 meetings between these two sides have all been both teams to score yes. So there's no reason to think why it won't happen again. Frankfurt's last 4 Bundesliga games, they were all both teams to score yes as well. So yeah, both teams to score yes is a good option here. Slightly more of Frankfurt's goals have come in the second half of matches, and they've only failed to score in the second half in less than a third of their games so far this season. So both teams to score yes in the second half, I'm looking at here, because I think this could be another match a bit tense, like the Bayern Celtic match, with both teams getting on the score sheet. 288 for both teams to score yes in the second half.
All right, I'm here. And the last game that we have in this match day is Hoffenheim, Stuttgart. Stuttgart dropping from the European spots, lost to Wolfsburg in the last game after beating Dortmund in a great win away. But Hoffenheim, luckily, they are going to stay probably in the Bundesliga. Great comeback against Bremen. They're doing a terrible season, as we always say, but 7 points away from the relegation. Perhaps we see goals in this one, Ronan.
Yeah, Hoffenheim have kind of been really inconsistent, and maybe this is a match for for goals. Christian Ilzer, he's obviously demanded more consistency from his players after that win last week, because the Hoffenheim, they pressed brilliantly. I haven't seen them kind of play like that all season. From the outset, they were kind of causing problems to Bremen, and they before the 2 games before that, they'd lost 3-1 and 4-0. So you kind of wonder where this Hoffenheim has come from. We weren't really expecting it, but they kind of turned things around. Stuttgart, similarly, they've been pretty inconsistent in 2025. They started with 4 wins, then they had 3 defeats, then they had 2 wins, then they had 1 draw. So going by numbers, 4-3-2-1. Next is 0 something. So will it be 0 defeats or 0 wins in this game against Hoffenheim? Hoffenheim are still 15th in the table, even after that win last week. They're still kind of in the relegation battle. Just 5 wins all season. 3 of those have been at home. If you look at the home table, Hoffenheim are 15th, where Stuttgart are 8th in the away table. They've been very good on the road this season. They have more wins than losses on the road. They've been a very good team kind of visiting and playing away matches. I think Stuttgart, it's hard to look past Stuttgart win at 2 in this one. So I'm just going to go for that one because it looks pretty good.
All right, the Stuttgart double chance and both teams to score for 𝐬𝐵𝐵𝐺, over 3.5 goals. Of course, having Hoffenheim on the pitch is good to go for a high-scoring game. Guys, this is over. Our show is over. Just let me remind you that you can participate in our tipster competitions and win 1,000 euros or dollars with Oddspedia. There you go, in the different tipster competitions, and create your own one thanks to rivals, or join a competition that was already created by someone in our audience. There you go, Ronan. Safe bet.
My safe bet is Leverkusen to win.
ACCA.
My ACCA is Mainz to win and Stuttgart to win for a total of 378.
Okay. There you go. To not favorite teams many times, but now for Ronan, there is a double there. Well, Ronan, thank you. Thanks everyone for watching. Bye-bye.